Thank you for joining me on this topic of the Achilles tendon. The purpose of this video is to educate you about the Achilles tendon and to give you 3 steps to follow for the ultimate victory that we want you to achieve in getting to your goals. My objective for you for this video is to give you as much information as possible so then that way we can make sure that you know exactly what you're experiencing during your training. If you're starting to feel discomfort or pain, you can then link it to exactly what's going on in these videos, and we can start the process of either ruling out what the issues are, and also if you have nailed it down, we can then begin the process of how to fix it. The other thing that I want you to bear in mind is I know it can be quite a scary thing when you're doing lots of training, especially things that pushes you outside your comfort zone. It's completely natural to get a bit frustrated or a bit annoyed if you start to feel certain pains that you weren't usually expecting. This is all a part of the process. You can expect those growing pains because you are pushing your body beyond the limit that it's more comfortable with, and that is the whole purpose. That's how we get you to achieve the things we want you to achieve. I want you to have full confidence to know that no matter what happens, there is a process to get you through it. Now, one of the 3 major things that I'm going to be covering is exactly that, the process that goes involved in getting you to your goal. So, what are those 3 steps to follow for ultimate victory? Number 1, you must commit to the process. This is a road that has been travelled many times. The map is completely laid out, and I want you to imagine that you are on a journey. You are already heading to a destination. You've plotted your course, you know every pit stop, every route you're going to take, and that is what you're working towards. However, we can't know everything that's going to happen on this journey, but we can be as prepared as possible by committing to that process, committing to that plan, and putting our best effort into following it as well. Every time we take a detour, it takes even longer because we have to bring you back in to that straight line. It's almost as if we are starting in London and we're driving to Scotland, but you think that you saw a shortcut, a sign that says shortcut a bit further up the road, so you decide to deviate off the plan and you just go a bit further and further out, and before you know where you are, you're in Wales. So committing to the process is a huge step, and taking action on everything that's been laid out for you. Like I said, this has been a road that has been well travelled. People have done it many times, and I'm here to guide you on this journey so that way you can become the best you can be. Number 2 is to control the controllables. What that means is you want to be able to use everything, every resource that you have available to you to make sure you are always staying on track. For example, are you doing all the stretches that you can possibly be doing in the off time? Are you making sure you're going over the drills and you're focusing on slow and controlled movements to build strength? Are you actually focusing and zeroing in on the areas that you're finding the toughest? These are the things that you can be focusing on that's going to make the whole journey a lot easier. And if you know that this is going to be a bit of a challenge for you, then you are actively seeking them out and you're looking to control what you can within them. Like I said, we don't know what's going to happen with every individual case on this journey. There are chances that you can experience certain pains or discomforts. I feel those as well sometimes. For example, I'm going through the training as well for the 28-mile race for Man vs Lakes, and even myself, it's been a while since I've retrained in that running pattern, and I started getting pains in my ankles and my calves because bad habits happen to set in. However, I make myself aware of these bad habits, and that's what I urge you to do. By making yourself aware of these bad habits, we can program in the correct ones. That's what's meant by control the controllables. Other areas you can look into: are you making sure you are keeping committed to a healthy nutrition diet? Are you making sure you're getting all the correct food into your body? Are you getting enough rest and sleep? Are you doing all the relaxation stuff? Are you doing the mindset work that's being set? Next, number 3, you must always stay ready. The moment we can take our eye off the ball, that's when things can happen. Things that we're not ready for. We always have to be ready. On every run, stay focused in what you're doing. Go out with a purpose and know that you're going to achieve something. Even if it feels like everything on that run or everything in that training exercise or workout feels like it's an absolute slog, you must go into that ready to learn and take away something that you can use going forward and how you can improve. That's where the self-development comes in, and that's where growth happens. Because one thing you must remember, growth comes from suffering. Only when we go through some form of hardship, some form of pressure, do we grow to become greater than it. Every habit that you have done, every habit you have in your life that has led you to this moment has got you to where you are. If you are at that stage and you're not quite happy with it, that's why we need to put in new habits so you can be ready to become that best person, the best version of yourself, to get into the best shape of your life, to be able to do things that most people can't do. Because this is one of the main things about this. You're on a path that less than 1% of the population are willing to endure. 1% of the population will do a marathon. Less than 1% will do anything more than that. 50% of the population are not even doing a regular regime of exercise, which is classified as 30 minutes a day. That can be that's including as basic as walking. That's how frightening some of these statistics can be, and that's why we always need to make sure you are ready to tackle any challenge that comes your way. The good thing is you are already involved in a process. You are already committed to working and improving yourself. You are so far ahead of the curve that you're already winning in this race. However, you must come back to these 3 points, and that is committing to the process, controlling all of the controllables. What is it around you that you can make sure that you can do to improve everything that you're doing, and you must stay ready. So what is the Achilles tendon? Well, the Achilles tendon is a band across the back of your leg, and it's the longest and biggest tendon in the entire body. Every activity that involves walking, running, jumping, it always includes the tendon. It's probably one of the most used tendons in the entire body and is extremely strong. It can withstand more than 1,000 pounds of force, which is why when you see people running, it's very easy just to, keep moving and pushing through. It's a tough band of tissue which connects the calf to the heel bone. So sometimes you might hear people talking about a bit of a weird itchy sensation in the back of their foot, and that's only because what tends to happen is over time it can get very tight, and it's just where the tightening is happening and it's doing rigorous exercise, the whole thing just tightens and they haven't stretched enough. The people most at risk from injury are they're most likely to be 27 years of age to 49, and they are the weekend warriors. They're not used to regular exercise, they don't warm up properly, they don't believe in stretching. They are just the guys that you see or the girls that you see that are hashtag beast mode. These are the people that just do it for the selfies. They want those pictures so they can put all over social media, and these are the ones that are most likely to get injured. It's all about that bravado. Look how amazing I am. Other places that get these kind of injuries are obviously running-based sports. Football is a very, very common one. Tennis and field hockey. Football is one of the most common ones for this particular type of injury because footballers are taught to pretty much keep on their toes at all time. And if you're keeping on your toes at all time and you're not doing a proper strengthening and stretching regime on your calf, it cause the Achilles to tighten up very, very quickly, and then it eventually snaps. So I don't know if you have experienced any football where it just starts to feel quite painful in the back of the legs and you're just not used to it. The other kind of sports that are at risk are dancers and gymnasts. What you will tend to find with this type of injury, it will always be in the extreme cases that suffer the most. It will be the people that are pro athletes or do a form of sport as their full occupation, or it's going to be the people that do like not enough and just do it for the whole weekend away and just want to go out there and go crazy and beast mode it up. The people in the middle are the ones that are usually okay. I'm not saying that these ones are completely immune from these injuries, but they are the least likely to get them. Here's the thing. Once again, you guys are already used to doing regular exercise. We are already going through strength programs. We are already putting you through stretches and making sure we're doing these small mobility movements that's going to strengthen everything up. It's very normal to feel a few pains, niggles, naggles, just as your muscles and tendons become accustomed to that style of training. But as we move forward and as we break past those barriers, you will become so much stronger and you'll be far more prepared and less likely to injure than any of these people. With the pros, obviously with gymnasts and dancers, it's high impact and or especially with gymnasts as well, they can put a lot of force going through them, and sometimes just landing at the wrong angle at that kind of force can just cause an injury, and it happens in sports all over where they're pushing absolute maximum effort, can't go any harder, angles are against them and they just snap. Yeah. Other thing to remember, these weekend warriors, these are usually people that are office based, that are sitting down a lot. Now, when we sit down, the muscles obviously aren't getting used as much, and the term use it or lose it applies most to these people. So, not people, I'm sorry. The term use it or lose it applies most to mobility. If you don't use your full range of motion, if you don't move your arms around or stretch out, you lose the ability to do so. So when you take that and you look at it from the feet, because we are sitting down, your feet aren't stretching out, they aren't moving, they aren't constantly being tested in terms of flexibility or mobility. So as over time, the muscle gets weak, and when muscles get weak, they tighten up as a way of protecting themselves. So tightness can come from two different ways. You can either overtrain a muscle and it tightens up because it's sore, or more dangerously, it can be quite weak and it just tightens up as a way of protecting itself. So if you've got a tight muscle and it's a weak muscle, and then you go away and you do a tough mudder or a nuclear race, then you are so at risk of causing an injury, not just in the Achilles tendon, but quite a few different places. Shoulders are another important one, but that's a topic for another day. The other thing that these guys all have in common is that when it comes to their training, they have not got a process that they follow that is proven to work. They are not committed to it as well. They are just doing bits and pieces, and they care more about how they look. They are not looking to control the controllables because their diet may be a little bit off. They might be drinking a little bit too much, and they're not doing all of the stretches that you guys are going to be doing. And last but not least, they're not ready. They turn up on the day and they expect just to be able to push through, and Spartan mentality will always win over everything. Well, it all comes down to being prepared. We all know that saying that preparing for oh god not preparing preparing for failure. Oh well, I'll get back to you on that one. Yeah, I think it's like prepare for failure. If you don't prepare, you are preparing for failure. We'll go with that one for now. If you don't prepare, you are preparing for failure. So this is something to keep in mind going forward. I know it can be quite scary. Injuries are frightening and they seem like they are career ending, and it just puts a massive halt on your life. However, everything that happens can be reversed. You can work on it, you can improve upon it, and you can push yourself forward. Most people, when they get injured, it's the giving up after the injury that causes the most damage. So it's usually the mentality that follows an injury that is the thing that really affects people. You can injure, and then if you're focused at just, okay, what have I got to do to prepare it? Okay, excellent. I've got to follow that process. I've got to commit to it, and I've got to control everything that I can around it, and that's how I'm going to repair myself. That mentality alone will speed your recovery 10 times faster than the person that gets injured and goes, oh my god, I'm injured, I can't do this, I can't do that, it hurts too much, blah blah blah. These are the things that are common with those types of people. However, once again, you guys are not like those other people. You are stronger, you are much more prepared, and you are committed to a process that works. Here's the other thing. Once again, you are already doing what other people won't do. And that's something you must celebrate, and that's something you must remember throughout the whole of this. Moving on. The causes of injury come from increasing your level of physical activity too quickly, not warming up enough before exercise, wearing high heels, which increases the stress on the tendon, so keep your weekend shoes away, problems with the feet. An Achilles tendon injury can result from flat feet, also known as fallen arches or overpronation. In this condition, the impact of a step causes the arch of your foot to collapse, stretching the muscles and the tendons. Also, the muscles or the tendons in the leg that are too tight. So all of these things come down to either not being prepared, not being committed to a process, not controlling anything that's controllable, and not being ready. So, just by following that 3-step to ultimate victory, you are going to avoid most of these situations. Remember, we must always warm up, we must always stretch, we must keep moving forward. It's not about doing the big bulk exercises. It's not about committing 2-3 hours to a whole workout. It's sometimes comes down to the most beneficial your training can be is spending 5 minutes a day just doing a few basic stretches just to keep on top of everything. It comes down to doing something, building a habit every single day that you can move forward with. It's getting those small wins, those small percentages above everything else. For example, if you take water at 99 degrees, you have just got water. You've got normal run-of-the-mill water. 1 degree hotter, you've got boiling water. Therefore, you are creating a big chemical reaction. You go 1 degree hotter than that, you go 101, you've got steam. With just that 2% increase, you are creating steam. With steam, you can power a steam train. You can power an engine that can move metric tons. So it's about creating that chain of slight percentages over time, and that's what's going to build up to your big wins. Sky also did a big documentary on their cyclists, and they were like, okay, we're not going to put a big load of education and research into a particular cyclist to make him massively stronger, but if we can improve his nutrition by 1%, And if we can improve the lightness of the bike by 1%, and if we can improve the traction of the tyres by 1%, his speed by 1%, all of these 1% start adding up, and before you know it, you're 20% better than everything else that's going on around you. Just by focusing on those small victories that can be built up by doing 5 minutes of extra stretching every single day, or 5 minutes of drills that take you outside your comfort zone. For example, in the case of running, most people struggle with the whole knee drive thing. Everyone does. It's exhausting. We like to exaggerate it, so then when we do run and you become fatigued, you're already going to be raising your knees higher than you would normally do. I'm not asking you to go trotting around the world like a show pony, but we are going to get you to exaggerate it, so then that way, even if they are just 2% higher than normal, that's still a massive benefit, and it takes off a hell of a lot more strain on your knees and joints and makes your running a lot easier and a lot funner. So how are we going to test the Achilles? How are we going to know if it is in pain? How do we know what we can expect? How can we know all these different things? You've got 4 different stages. Stage 1, obviously, it's no pain during the exercise, but there is some discomfort in the morning when you're first getting out of bed. The stiffness and the creaking go away after a few minutes and are fine the rest of the day. Lightly pinching the Achilles tendon with the forefinger and thumb in the morning or after exercise will probably indicate soreness. If you're in stage 1, very, very simple and easy to fix. You just need to focus on doing some basic stretches, some basic drills, just to build up some of the strength. See those free videos in the resource website with the calf raises and the single leg calf raises and the eccentric movements. Follow those and stage 1 will disappear over the couple of days. Stage 2, pain during exercise or running, but performance is not affected. The stiffness and creaking continue to appear when first getting out of bed and continue to disappear shortly afterward. Lightly pinching the Achilles tendon with the forefinger and thumb in the morning or after exercise will indicate soreness. Once again, stage 2 is very similar to stage 1, very simple and easy to fix. You just have to revert back to those first 3 videos, go into more stretches, and just take a bit of time just to ease it out. Your warm-ups will probably need to be looked at, and if you're getting that kind of experience during the exercise or running, warming up will become a bigger point that we need to address. Stage 3. Pain during exercise or running that is detrimental to performance. The stiffness and creaking continue to appear when first getting out of bed, but may continue for some time and reappear at other points during the day. Lightly pinching the Achilles tendon with the forefinger and thumb in the morning or after exercise will indicate soreness. Once again, this becomes back to stretching out, making sure you are controlling those controllables. You are doing everything you can. You are soaking them. At this sort of stage, you want to make sure you're soaking them, relaxing them. If it's starting to cause you a bit of pain, then start taking it easy. You want to start easing off of those runs and really go back to those basics. Every time we go a bit too far, we must always remember it's the basics. The stronger we become at the basics, the stronger the performance and the better we will be overall. A prime example is Wayne Gretzky, known as the Great One amongst ice hockey players. He has got a record that it just completely eclipses any of the best players, even by today's standards. His record will likely never be beaten because it's so extreme, and obviously with the way the games are changing, it makes it a lot harder for everyone else to score as many points as he did. However, it was his ability to constantly push himself outside of his comfort zone by going back to the basics and pushing them as far as he can. Teammates would often say that whenever they used to watch him skate during practice, he was always falling over because he wanted to know, just doing those basic warm-up drills in the beginning, how far he could lean or cut into the ice, or how much he could pivot and get his body weight moving, how fast he could go doing those same basic principles, how slow he could go doing those same basic principles. He was taking the basics and he was testing them every which way he can. So then when it came to playing those games, he could have full confidence in going back to the basics, and then he would then can build on it to do the more advanced stuff. Wayne Gretzky was also known for quoting that what makes a good ice hockey player is to play for where the puck is going to be. Playing for where the puck is. What makes a great ice hockey player is playing where the puck is going to be. So being able to see everything and have a field of vision around the game and to always be where it's going to end up. That's what I want you to do with your training. I want you to take a step back and reassess. If you're getting pain during a run, stop. Go back to the basics, stretch out, start the mobility work, build up some basic strength, follow those 3 videos, go back to the process and commit to it, follow it rigorously. Control all of the controllables you can. If you're doing a lot of sitting down during the day, make sure you're getting up and stretching and moving it about. And number 3, always being ready, making sure that you're never caught off guard. You don't want to be that person that is not prepared. Stage 4, it hurts too much to exercise or run. The stiffness and creaking continue to appear when first getting out of bed, but may continue for most of the day. Lightly pinching the Achilles tendon with the forefinger and thumb at almost any time of day will indicate soreness. Now this is obviously a big one. If it gets to that stage, that's where we will actually do a complete overhaul on the basics. Everything goes back to being the most simplest way possible. That can be as simple as retraining the way you walk to ensure that we are using everything correctly and to start building up that tendon and preparing it and easing it up so then we can start building it nice and easy. We'll also be looking at what are the fundamental muscles in the body that aren't pulling their weight. What muscles are allowing all the other muscles to do the work that's causing this stress. We'll look at your actual plan, your daily routine. How is there something in there that we're missing that could be causing these effects, or are we not doing as much stretching as we could be? So keep going over these, look over these stages. Don't become obsessed about them, but just be aware that these are some of the stages that you can experience or go through, and you now know how to test for them and what to do. It always comes back to going back to the basics, moving back to the process and re-following it. Symptoms of an Achilles injury. Pain along the back of your foot and above your heel. Pain may gradually worsen in cases of tendinitis. Pain can be abrupt and severe if the tendon has ruptured, causing immediate incapacity. Tenderness, swelling, stiffness, hearing a snapping, popping or popping noise during the injury, difficulty flexing your foot or pointing your toes in partial or complete tears of the tendon. Sometimes with this last one, it can just be a bit about, it doesn't always mean that it's the Achilles if you're having some difficulty with flexing your foot. Sometimes it can be just the muscles around the ankle that are a little bit sore, just from being worked a bit harder than they're used to. Same thing with along the shin bone as well, and there are other muscles to go for. That's only really to test if you've snapped it, and it's causing you some issue and pain. Remember that you'll be feeling pain specifically in that part of the area and not necessarily any other part of the foot. So all of these apply to that specific tendon, and if you're feeling it anywhere else, it could be something else. So as you can see here, you've got 4 different pictures. You've got what a normal Achilles tendon looks like, what tendinitis looks like, tendinosis looks like, and a tendon rupture looks like. A very, very pretty foot, clearly a lady's. But yeah, so these are the things to watch out for, and these are how you're going to be able to recognise if there's some issue going on in the Achilles. What is the road to recovery? How are we going to get you back? If the worst is to happen and you get an injury, how do we rebuild? How do we get you back to performing at the best? First thing is we'd have to assess how serious the injury is, and that will always be the development of our timeline, and we'll create a timeline together. We'll sit down and we'll talk about the process to follow, how we're going to commit to it to make sure we're controlling the controllables again, and we are committing and always being ready to make sure that we're doing all we can to get you back to recovery as quickly as possible. So it comes in 6 phases. Phase 1 is early injury protection, so pain reduction, anti-inflammatory phase. That's looking at your diet partly. That's looking at some ointments and some lotions that we can apply. Normal heat kind of sprays, soaking it in the right, soaking it in Epsom salts and putting ice applying to it. Those kind of basic things, just so we can start to let it relax. Because sometimes when it, depending on the severity of the injury, it just needs some time to cool off. You've pissed it off effectively, and it's just like, you know what, I've had enough. I'm sulking in the corner. Don't disturb me. So you just want to give it a bit of, imagine you've upset your other half, and they're giving you the silent treatment. So you need to go, okay, I'm going to go get some flowers and some chocolates. So that's effectively what phase 1's all about, just to start to ease it down. Phase 2 is to regain full range of motion. These exercises, they're not sexy, but they are so effective at just getting your foot moving. Once the Achilles is calmed down a bit, it's going to be stiff. So we're going to have to go back to the very basics, looking at how you're walking, making sure that you can flex and move your foot in an easy way. Phase 3 will be restoring eccentric muscle strength. Remember that eccentric muscle strength is all about the lowering phase. So we don't care about any kind of lifting. Lowering is where majority of the strength is, and that's how we will build up strength in the Achilles. Once again, none of these exercises are really that sexy, but they work, and that's what we need to go through. That's part of the process to get you back to full recovery if the injury was to ever happen. After we've built up some strength with the eccentric muscle strength, we'll be restoring concentric muscle strength. So that's the lifting phase. We'll be getting you to put up more repetitions. We'll be increasing the, like I said, I like the hundreds and all that kind of stuff. We'll be putting up that amount of reps just so we can start building up more strength and getting it used to moving and flexing as well. Phase 5, normalizing foot biomechanics. So even though we would have covered that full range of motion and gone through how the foot moves, we will, after we've restored some strength, you've now got muscles that are stronger than when we first did it in phase 2. So we need to retrain your foot with the new strength it's acquired from phases 3 and 4. So we can keep you moving in a way that's going to be the most beneficial for you, and to prevent any further injury and to speed up your recovery. Phase 6 is an interesting one. It's all about restoring the high speed, power, proprioception and agility. So that basically means how quickly you can place your foot and have confidence in it. Phase 6 is quite heavily focused around the mental side of it. Once injuries occur, we build up a big mistrust of that specific muscle body part that has effectively, in quotes, let us down. So it's that mental side. You don't want to trust it again. You already feel like it's let you down before, so it's going to hold you back when you go forward. Usually when you hold back from anything, that's when you're at risk of injuring yourself even more, because you start to compensate your weight around and other areas can become affected. But we will be looking at building up some power, basic jumps, just to get your feet used to absorbing shock and making sure that every muscle can control everything. But yeah, that's how we would repair you. Back to this. At the end of the day, it always comes back to following these 3 steps to ultimate victory. You must commit to the process. You must control the controllables. What are you doing that you could be improving upon? Is there an area that you can look at or move on? If you know that you're evading and you're not doing the exercises that you could be doing, address why you're doing that and always look to improve it. And number 3, always remember to stay ready. We always want the best out of us. You know, you are on the right path. You are doing the right things. These are the steps that we are going through to make sure we can get you to become the best person you want to be. I want you to become the best person you can be, so then that way you can inspire the people you care about to become the best versions of themselves. That's how we create a fitter circle around us. That's how we make big impacts in life, by making big adjustments and in doing all the positive habits. Yeah. You must remember that things take time as well. It's not always going to be an overnight sensation. There are going to be days that you just have massive breakthroughs and you think, oh wow, that was an amazing session. I absolutely love that. I've never been able to do that before. But you're also going to have those sessions where it feels like you haven't really gotten anywhere. It feels like that was the worst possible run, and it feels like you could be going backwards in some stages. But that's how we learn. That's how we get better. That's what we need to remember. I understand that getting injury is scary. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm scared of getting injured. But you have to remember, by committing to the process and remembering that there's a process for everything that could happen. When you commit to that process and you control those controllables, you will be moving on much faster. Don't be afraid to push yourself. Don't be afraid to be the best you can be. You won't let anyone down. This is all about you against you. Just by proving to yourself that you can commit to a process, you are already winning at this. You are already succeeding in your health and fitness. You are already pushing beyond that person that you are right now. And these are the key things to remember. You are doing what most people won't, so you can do what other people can't. I want you to remember those things as we go forward and as we continue to move you towards success. And obviously, if you have any questions about this video, and if there's anything that you'd like me to cover, please don't hesitate to let me know, and I'll be happy to serve and to help in any way I can. Have a great day, guys, and thank you very much for joining me on this, and I will catch you soon.